Hello and welcome to another episode of The Doctor is In on CNN Philippines. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. So under the enhanced community quarantine pa rin po tayo kung saan pinapayuhan pa rin ang lahat na sumunod sa rules and regulations para makaiwas tayo sa COVID-19 infection. So marami rin po ang nagtatanong, minsan na lang po daw sila nakakalabas ah, ng bahay at maarawan dahil nga dito sa ECQ ano. So ang tanong nila is meron bang masamang epekto ba ito na hindi sila madalas na nakakalabas ng bahay. So yun po ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon sa The Doctor is in the importance of vitamin D or the sunshine vitamin and how we can get it kahit na hindi tayo masyadong nakakalabas ng bahay. So joining us today is Dr. Jesus Dueñas. He is a medical officer at the Philippine Orthopedic Center, Adult Orthopedics and Musculoskeletal Tumor Unit. Welcome to the Doctors In, Dr. Jet. Oh, okay, parang wala pa si Dr. Jet ano. So, just to give you while we're waiting for Dr. Jet to hook up via Skype, itong ECQ natin ano, itong quarantine, medyo na-highlight natin in previous episodes ang mga vitamins na essential sa ating immune system. So napag-usapan natin na ang vitamin or madalas na pag-uusapan ang vitamin C. So yan ang paboritong vitamins when it comes to the immune system, you know, vitamin C. And then now the latest information that we have is not just vitamin C, but you want to have vitamin C with zinc. So zinc, as an add-on to that, is able to lessen the time, the convalescent time na meron tayo with regards to being sick or having the flu. Ang ibig sabihin po noon is kung kadalasan isang linggo ang pagkakasakit nyo ng isang virus, not necessarily COVID-19 but any flu virus or the colds, studies have shown that with zinc, mas napapaiksi po ang ating sick time o nagiging mga 3 or 4 days lang instead of that 1 week. So yun ang tulong ng zinc when it comes to our immune system. So while we're trying to get Dr. Jet Dueñas on the phone, let's answer a few online questions. Ano? Marami po sa inyo ang nagtatanong online sa CNN Philippines Facebook page. Thank you very much. Please do so. Keep on sending those questions in. You can send your questions today. Of course, always COVID-19 questions are always welcome, but we are having a orthopedic surgeon with us today to talk about vitamin D. So you can, pag meron kayong tanong tungkol sa buto, tungkol sa vitamin D, masasagot po ng ating guest for today. So let's answer a question from Mark who is asking, I jog every morning to exercise and get some sunlight. Sometimes I also walk my dog. Okay. Is it okay to continue doing this? Nakakatakot na kasi ang taas ng number of cases. What's a nice alternative? So, Mark, thank you for that question. Ano? Ang tanong ni Mark is it still okay to go out and exercise? And the answer to that is yes. You must have exercise. Now, going out to get that exercise depends on certain areas. Alam naman po natin, depende sa lugar natin, iba-iba yung mga kung gaano ka strict. Ano? I know of some areas na bawal lumabas, bawal mag-jogging sa labas, bawal maglakad ng aso. That is okay. Just be aware of the certain areas, but most importantly, Mark, you have to be covered with a mask. You must be wearing a mask. Now, latest studies have shown kahit wala kayong symptoms ng COVID-19, you must have some form of covering on your face, ano? So, either a cloth mask or even a surgical mask when you're going outside, when you're walking your dog is okay. But it is still okay to get some exercise. If you can exercise within your room, which is totally possible, we had our celebrity coaches before talk about that. You can exercise in your room, so you can get that blood flowing, get that immune system still going, even though you don't have to really go out to do that. Okay, so I think we have Dr. Jet back. We have Dr. Jet Dueñas back on the line. Hi, Dr. Jet. Welcome to the Doctors In.
Hey Fred, good afternoon and good afternoon to all your listeners. So thanks for having me here.
Oh, All right. So now we're talking about certain vitamins for the immune system. I was mentioning earlier how ang nasa limelight usually is vitamin C, vitamin B. But today we're going to talk about, or we're going to put on the spotlight, vitamin D. Now, Dr. Jet, ano ba talaga ang vitamin D?
Actually, you're right, no? When we talk about the immune system, we mostly, like, let's say if you have colds, we're asked to drink what exactly? Orange juice, right? And not milk. So that's because vitamin C is actually very good for your immune system as well. But what we're neglecting is that vitamin D also has an effect on the immune system. Now, vitamin D in general is one of the 13 essential vitamins. It is a group of soluble compounds that's needed by the body for proper functioning metabolism. Now, it's mainly responsible for the increased absorption of, let's say, other nutrients such as calcium, your magnesium, your phosphate, and it also has other biological effects. Now, in a nutshell, vitamin D is naturally present in very few foods. It's added as a fortification to others. It can be available as a dietary supplement. But most of all, what's important is that unlike other vitamins, it can be endogenously or produced by our own bodies, and all we need is a little bit of ultraviolet rays from the sun. So to trigger that vitamin D synthesis. Okay.
Now, what is the relation, Dr. Jet, of vitamin D and calcium?
Now, we all know that we have a recommended daily intake of calcium, but it's not just the intake that's important. It has to be absorbed by your body. Now, for example, with a vitamin D deficient person, you only get to absorb around 10% of the calcium that you take in. Now, with vitamin D sufficiency, you can absorb about 20 to 30% more, to about 30 to 40% of the calcium that you drink in.
Hello, Dr. Jet, are you still there?
Yeah. Hello?
Okay, yeah. So that was so vitamin D is important in order for calcium to be used better by the body, you know. So how about what exactly does vitamin D do for the body? So it does that for calcium. Why do we need that?
Now, it has mainly three effects for the body. First, it's used as my favorite for healthy bones. Vitamin D is best known to keep your bones healthy. It is needed by your bones for remodeling or for the creation of new bones. And vitamin D promotes calcium absorption, which I already said. Now, without enough vitamin D, you don't absorb enough of the calcium in your body. Sorry, is there a problem? Can you hear me? Can you hear me well? Okay. Now, look,
Yes, yes.
yes. Now, low levels of vitamin D leads to low bone calcium stores and increased risk of fractures. It can also, a prolonged insufficiency can produce thin, brittle, and misshapen bones. Now, so it's very important for you to get your vitamin D so you have healthy bones. Next would be for your immune system. Now, like I said, vitamin C is usually what you think about when you want to boost your immune system, but we must also think about vitamin D. Now, research shows that vitamin D also plays an important role in your immune function, and a deficiency in it shows an increase in susceptibility to like viral infections. Now, what's important is that vitamin D helps activate your T cells. Now, T cells can be found inside your body, and it's also known as your natural killer cells. Now, these killer cells uh, can detect and they destroy foreign pathogens, such as your viruses, for example. So, vitamin D is very crucial in maintaining the functional immune system of the body. Now, lastly, if vitamin D affects your mood, okay? Vitamin D activates the gene that regulates the release of mood-boosting neurotransmitters or your happy hormones, such as your serotonin, your dopamines, and the combination of it affects your moods in a such that you don't have your mood swings as much. You're not cranky all the time. You're happier with more sunlight. So that's basically it. It affects your immune system. You have your mood boosting capabilities and your healthy bones.
Okay, so you just mentioned that definitely vitamin D is very important, ano? Now, Dr. Jet, whenever someone goes to the drugstore to buy supplements, ano, sometimes they might see vitamin D2, sometimes they can see something that says vitamin D3. So, are all of these, what's the difference between all of these vitamin Ds?
There are certain different vitamin D that you can see. As I said, it's a group of naturally occurring compounds. Now, vitamin D2, for example, can be found in plants. Vitamin D3 is found in your animal fat. Okay, so what's important is you get your vitamin D3, which is the easiest for you to get in your supplements, and it's the most easily digestible and metabolized by your body.
Okay, so let's recap, Dr. Jet. No, someone can get vitamin D through number one, being exposed to UV rays of the sunshine. They can get it through their diet, and they can get it through supplements. Now, I guess the next question would be, what's the proper dose? How much vitamin D should we be getting in a day?
Okay, that's a very tricky question simply because uh, here in the Philippines, we're following the guidelines by Food and Nutrition Research Institute, which is a part of the Department of Science and Technology. In 2015, they published the Philippine Dietary Reference Intake, which shows the recommended levels of vitamin D that we Filipinos need to take in. Now, unfortunately, that's like half of the international standards. So for purposes of the discussion, so it doesn't really make too much of a confusion, let's talk about the international standards instead. Now, for the United States and in Europe, it's recommended that we take about 600 international units per day, or around 15 micrograms, uh, when we reach 1 year old to about an adulthood. Now, babies need a little less. For babies up to 1 year old, they need only about 10 micrograms. And for the elderly, they need more, so about 20 micrograms. Now, there are certain debates that actually says that we need to increase these international standards further to almost doubling it. So therefore, our standards here in the Philippines would turn out to be like one-fourth of the possible recommendation for internationally.
Okay, now a quick question before we go on a break, Dr. Jet. Ano, would you recommend, what would you recommend pala for children and probably the elderly? Because we have three sources of getting vitamin D. Do you recommend getting all three sources from supplements, from the sunshine, and from the diet? Or is one enough? Is one source enough to get enough vitamin D in our system?
Actually, for babies, it's a big problem for babies because it's basically what we give the baby. Like for example, do remember that a vitamin D deficient breastfeeding mom will result into a vitamin D deficient baby. So if you're exclusively breastfeeding, make sure that you have sufficient amounts of vitamin D. Now, if you're bottle feeding, take a look at your nutritional requirement at the side of your baby formula, and you'll probably see how much vitamin D is there. And it's usually about bottle is about 8 to 10% of the total recommended daily intake for a baby. So about 8 to 10 bottles should be. Now, for the elderly, if you can't get the ample amounts of sun, like for example, we're a month into the lockdown, the elderly can't go out, get it through your supplements because it's really very difficult to get it from your diet.
All right. Very good advice from Dr. Jet. Now we have to pause for a quick break. When we return, Dr. Duenas and I will continue to answer your questions. So please keep sending them in on the CNN Philippines Facebook page. Hindi lang yan, malalaman natin kung ano-ano ba ang alternative sources ng vitamin D bukod sa araw. So all that and more after the short break.
This is what my ultimate beauty looks like. From the #1
And we are back. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you are watching The Doctors In on CNN Philippines and Facebook Live. So, kasama pa rin natin ngayon si Dr. Jesus Adrian Dueñas. Siya ay isang orthopedic surgeon at medical officer sa Philippine Orthopedic Center. So, Dr. Jet, before you continue the conversation, before the break, you mentioned how vitamin D should be taken by kids and by the elderly. Ano? So, for adults, does it also apply na uh, adults can choose from the three main sources of vitamin D? Ano bang pinakamaganda para sa mga adults?
Actually, para sa adults, we're supposed to get it from the sunlight. Now, given that we're in the group that's allowed to go out, it's the best source for our vitamin D would still be from sun. So, what's important with sunlight is that
Okay.
all you need to do is to expose about 20 to 30% of your body. Let's say wear a shirt, your head, your arms will be exposed. You go out in the sun 15 to 30 minutes, and then do that twice a day. Ang clincher would be is that you have to do it at the sun's peak, which is around 11 a.m. to around 3 p.m. So when the sun is hot, that's when you're supposed to get it. Now, unfortunately, now that we're in lockdown, not all adults get to go out. Now, one important thing to take note of would be that sun through glass, you don't get the same ultraviolet rays. Okay? So, it's not as effective. Kailangan yung sun direct. Hindi pwedeng dumadaan siya sa bintana. Okay? Or else it's not gonna work. So, if you have like, let's say, a backyard, or you can go out into the yard, do that for twice a day, 15 minutes. So you should be okay.
Okay. Now, before we go on, let's have a quick shout out to we have audience watching from Hong Kong, Australia, San Francisco, Vietnam, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and from all over the Philippines. Thank you for tuning in to The Doctors In. I'm with Dr. Jet Dueñas, an orthopedic surgeon, and he is talking about the importance of vitamin D, not just for our overall immune system, but for our bones as well. Um, with this, Dr. Jet, does it also matter, like what you said, no, na sunlight through glass is different from direct exposure ng sun? May difference din ba sa lightness or darkness ng skin ng tao?
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, as Filipinos, medyo mas dark tayo, and therefore, yung melanin in our skin, or which causes the dark pigmentation in our skin, it also blocks the ultraviolet rays of the sun. And therefore, we need more of it. So increase the time that you go around the sun because you don't get as much as like let's say our fairly skinned brothers and sisters, the Caucasians, for example. So for us Filipinos who have darker skin, we need more of the sunlight.
Okay. Now, is there any symptoms naman, Dr. Jet? So we were talking about trying to get enough vitamin D, no? What are some of the symptoms na we're not getting enough vitamin D? Are there something that the patient might be able to see through their skin or feel in their body that medyo may kakulangan na sila ng vitamin D?
It's mostly felt lang through the body. There's really no outer symptoms to it. Like for example, you get muscle bone pains. You get very weak. You get very moody. So those are symptoms show that you're not getting enough sunlight and you're not getting enough vitamin D. Pero you're not gonna see it through the skin. Like for example, may discoloration ka nakita, no? It usually is just felt through pain and weakness and through your behavior and mood.
Okay, now let's continue with answering some social media questions, Dr. Jet. Ano? We have a question from Lara, and she's asking, is it okay to triple the intake of vitamin C as well as food supplements to protect yourself from COVID-19?
Oh, let's rewind the question. It's for vitamin C, not vitamin D.
For vitamin C, yes. Or
Okay.
vitamin C, or even let's talk about vitamin C first. Then also about what about vitamin D? Is it safe to double, even triple the dosage of your recommended allowance of vitamin D?
Actually, that's the problem with. There's a difference between fat-soluble vitamins and water-soluble vitamins. Vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin, and therefore you can take as much of it in, and then you just urinate it all out. It just goes through the water. So that's vitamin C. Now, vitamin D is very different.
Now, how
Fat-soluble
about
don't
yes?
metabolize it as fast, and therefore uh, doubling or tripling the dose will have an adverse effect in your body. Like for example, increased amounts of calcium in your blood. Remember that it affects the amount of calcium that's absorbed from your intestines, and from your intestines it goes to the bloodstream. So there's increased amounts of calcium in your blood. That calcium will be deposited in different parts of your organs, and therefore renal stones, for example, can be a problem if you continuously take triple the dose of vitamin D that is recommended. So very different vitamin C and vitamin D. So there's an upper limit of vitamin D intake. Vitamin C, you can take it as much.
Okay, now Dr. Jet, ngayon panahon ng ECQ, no, ng quarantine na po tayo, ano mga alternative forms ng vitamin D which would be easily available for the people, ano, aside from probably getting some sunshine every now and then? Are there any foods that you can mention that you can advise that are rich in vitamin D?
Okay, so now this is the hard part. Not readily available in food. Like for example, it has to be fatty fish. Now, when I'm talking about fatty fish, I'm talking about salmon. I'm talking about, let's say, tuna, mackerel, sardines, and most of those we get from a can, right? Now, if you get fresh salmon, uh, eating about 75 grams of it, you'll get about 630 to 700 international units of vitamin D. And that's basically about what you require for the entire day. So you're good. Now, the problem is if, like, let's say, uh, like, if you're eating tuna from a can, for example, okay? Now, tuna from a can, you get from every can of tuna, you get about 180 grams of tuna. That's roughly about 6 ounces, and that's around 80 international units of vitamin D, or 1 microgram. So that's roughly about 12 to 13% of your recommended daily allowance. Now, that's if you eat the entire can. So just imagine for you to be able to absorb the amount of vitamin D from a can of tuna, you have to eat about 8 or 10 of those whole cans. tuna just to reach your recommended daily allowance. That's for tuna. Now, another source of vitamin D you can get from, let's say, the drugstore. It's fish oil. Fish oil is actually a very good source of vitamin D. It actually doubles the recommended daily allowance. It gives about 1,200 international units or 34 micrograms. So it's very good source of vitamin D. Next would be your sardines, for example. Uh, 1 to 2 pieces no sardines. If you take that in, you'll get about 1.2 micrograms of vitamin D. That's roughly around 8% of your recommended allowance. Next would be your egg yolks. No? If you eat your egg, the vitamin D is in the yolk, not in the egg whites. Okay? So if you eat the egg yolk, okay, one egg would be about, again, 1 to 1.2 micrograms, so about 8 to 10% of your recommended allowance. So just imagine, for you to be able to get that 600 international units or 15 micrograms per day, you have to eat like a dozen eggs a day. So can you just imagine the amount of calories there is in that dozen eggs? So it's very
Right.
difficult to get it from your diet. You really need the sun. Okay. So now, what's good is that you can combine those things. You can eat tuna, eat eat one egg. You know? So if you combine those things, maybe it will be more
Okay.
easier. Now, it's also available in milk, for example. Now, what I want to show you is I asked permission for this. Is that first, I have to declare I have no monetary interest in these products. I'm just showing it as an example. I'm gonna try to hide the label
Okay.
as best I can. Now, there's a difference
Yeah,
between
unfortunately, Dr.
two.
Jet, let's wrap up. We have, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Can you quickly wrap up with your message? So,
Okay, so let's all remember that even through the quarantine period, we're inside. Get your sun. Okay, go out. Try to get as much sun as you can. Balancing it with, of course, with your diet. Okay, so vitamin D is very important for your bones.
yep.
It's very important for your mood. It's very important for your immune system.
Okay, and that was Dr. Jet Duenas. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your knowledge with that of vitamin C. And thank you to everyone who has been watching and sending in their questions. Please continue to do so. We will be on again tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Thank you for watching. The doctor is in. Tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Again, please do join us. So keep safe, stay at home, be healthy. See you guys.